Honeyshuckleex.
I'm Zachbot Barbecue.
And I'm Giggleklutz.
Today we are talking about the Last Campfire.
Ooh, crackly warm goodness and embers.
So many embers. Embers are wonderful parts of fire that can cause it to spread completely out of control.
That's not what this game is about, though, don't worry. It's the Last Campfire, this is not a game about fire safety.
No, this is not Little Inferno. Yeah, don't confuse the Last Campfire with Little Inferno. They are very, very different animals. Maybe another day we'll talk about Little Inferno in case our audience has never heard of that. Where, you been under a rock or are you that young? That's what I have to say about if you don't know what Little Inferno is. Anyway.
What was going on before this tangent?
Well, we're talking about The Last Campfire, and it was a game released in 2020 by Hello Games.
Something I learned today.
Yeah, we only just learned today that this is made by the same studio that made No Man's Sky.
I'm shrugging my shoulders because I don't know that much about No Man's Sky, but I don't think that Last Campfire is anything like No Man's Sky.
No, it's very, very different, but when I saw that, I first had a reaction of denial, and then I went, well, the visuals are really good in both of these games.
But yeah, that's where the proposed similarities end. But rather than talk about what Last Campfire isn't, let's talk about what it is.
It's a 3D kind of puzzle adventure game.
Story rich.
And you play as a creature called an Ember, and you're kind of going on like an Ember's journey. This is something that apparently you're supposed to do, but along the way you find others who are not doing so great in their journey, and you help them.
Yeah, it's the Ember's journey they go on when their light begins to fade, as it's put.
It feels like an afterlife story, but we'll get into more a little bit later about how that kind of afterlife story is kind of used as a direct correlative metaphor for depression and the different ways that depression manifests. But first, let's talk about a little bit about the story, a little bit about the setting, and we can talk about aesthetics because, pretty game. So pretty.
So pretty. It does really good with colors and tone. I love the beginning sequence where it's all these lovely blues, and then, like, as you branch out to different areas, there's a more autumnal area, and just the colors. The colors are great. You know me, I love colors.
So your main player character is what they call an Ember, and they look like a little sack-shaped robe with kind of like a Jawa, honestly, with squared off Jawa, little black face with eyes, but no features in a sack.
Yeah.
And they come in different colors. There's like blue and purple.
A couple orangish ones.
Yeah, I'm not quite remembering. Yeah, I'm not remembering all the colors, but just there's some variants in them. They have little patches on some of them.
Some of them got floppy ears.
Yeah,
we don't know if they're part of the hat or like the hat robe or if they actually have little pointy ears.
Who knows what's under there? And we don't have to care. It's just they're cute little kind of formless creatures.
Yeah, just a whole bunch of cute little shrouded guys.
Yeah. Very cute. So from what we know at like the beginning of the game, the lore of this seems to be that lots of embers have passed through this place. But at some point, the Forest King came and stopped embers from making their journey, and we're not entirely sure why, but he's just stopping all people from crossing, and...
Well, all the lost embers. Because the story starts with our Ember, our player character Ember, in a flow, in a stream, in a boat, going along with a whole big other group of embers.
I'm pretty sure that's the Wanderer, actually, because that one was red.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Despite the fact you end up at the same place they seem to be going.
Yeah, it's honest, like, I understand the confusion, though, because that's a really strange choice to make for the beginning of your game. Normally, like, when you start a game, you kind of see your own backstory, and not necessarily somebody else's.
Oh, okay. I played this game through twice, and then we played the beginning again recently as a refresher because we played it together over a year ago now. And I'm sorry, light bulbs are going off in my brain because I think I misunderstood that. Okay. So anyway, the story and understanding the story is absolutely optional. To enjoying this game. The aesthetic and the puzzles are really cute, and a bunch of other things that we're going to talk about are really cool, and I'm feeling a fool now, but that's okay. I'll be a fool with you guys. Come on, it's okay to be foolish. We're gamers after all, and, well,
it's like, yeah, even if you aren't, missing some of the story details that just don't care so much, there's definitely some thematic elements of it that still work.
Oh, absolutely. I thought I got it, and it was still really cool. And it turns out I might not have, and I might need to have to play the whole thing over again just so I can put it in proper context and have, like, a nuanced conversation with people on the same page. But, sorry, I'm dealing with my embarrassment now. I'm embarrassed.
I think that kind of ties into something that Sackbot was talking about before we record. Do you want to talk about the puzzles in this game?
Well, you'll bump into some puzzles just, reaching different places in the game world. Some of those for progression. Key puzzles you need to complete to properly progress through the areas are finding the forlorn. They're embers who, they got real sad, really weighed down by emotions, and just kind of stop.
Yeah, they show up as like little stone statues.
It's basically depression turning people to stone.
And then if you go up to them and, reach out to them, you get taken into this kind of an isolated, puzzle zone in their mind.
It's a pocket dimension.
A dream space.
So yeah, you poke the forlorn and then they put you in this test chamber.
Thank you, Portal.
It's this self-contained, somewhat abstract space, completely focused on one main puzzle.
What kind of puzzle?
Well, it can vary a bit, but it's like, one of the reoccurring mechanics is pushing various objects, kind of like, some various, like, adaptations on, block pushing.
They're all some sort of maze. You have to get to the flame to rekindle the flame within the forlorn, but sometimes you have to carry the flame there, and sometimes you just have to get yourself there and free it from the cage it's in.
And each puzzle is accompanied with a little story about why the ember you're saving lost their hope.
Yeah, and sometimes the puzzle itself is also like a metaphor tying into that story. Like, the one that kind of particularly stands out to me, like, remembering it, is one who talks about, like, their feelings kind of being like the sea and they don't want to get pulled under, so you have to actually lower the water level to go free the fire.
Yeah, there's a lot of thought, and every single forlorn ember that you have to rescue in the game has their own story. There's so much thought and depth put into this game. This is not a simple, child-friendly puzzle game, even though it is a beautiful, aesthetically child-friendly puzzle game.
Of course, like, as in terms of difficulty of these puzzles, at least the early ones that I have fresh in my mind, is like, as I thought about it before the recording, was just kind of, this game doesn't make me feel dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Additional to that is it doesn't feel the need to just go out of its way to tell me, you're so smart.
Oh, condescension from my puzzle game. Ooh, I'm wincing now. But yeah, that's a thing that some of them do, and this one does not.
Yeah, it's definitely smart enough to just, lead into its thematic elements and let the patting on the back for figuring out the puzzle itself be intrinsic. Always nice to see.
Yeah, you helped somebody. That's your reward.
Right.
There's a little more hope in the world now.
And that feels good. Solving the puzzle feels good, and helping that forlorn feels good. Yeah, and as adults, playing a puzzle game that's accessible to children, sometimes that's a really interesting line to balance on, and this game does it really well. The difficulty of the puzzles is really well balanced. Like, I think anyone can figure them out. There's no reason to resort to brute force.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the longer ones I can think of is one where you have to move a flame using a block, and I think that one was, like, pretty long, but it had, like, checkpoints along it, so even if you did mess up, you would have a safe place, and it's typically pretty good about that.
Yeah, without calling attention to that at all. It's just something the game does automatically for you. Yeah, it's very thoughtfully done. And I'm just thinking about it. Those are not the only puzzles, though. There are other puzzles that you need to do to access different areas. Just, normal key finding, secret finding,
You get somewhat point-and-click style item usage here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a neat puzzle game. I really enjoy the different layers of puzzle and the different types of puzzle, even though they kind of seem similar. Do you want to talk about the Lanthorn?
Yeah, the Lanthorn is, like, one of those things that gets added, like, after the first third of the game, but it dramatically changes how the block puzzles work. Because before you kind of had to push them by being next to them, and now you can use this horn to musically pull them in any direction you want.
Yeah, as opposed to, the motion being focused on the character's direct physical involvement, you now get to move things as an overview.
Which actually is a lovely progression for how your thinking will change as you heal from depression, as someone who has to help themselves regularly through those cycles. Once you get caught in a hopelessness, you can get stuck in black and white thinking where you can only handle things in the physical. You can only handle what's right there with you. You can't really think about larger contexts until you feel like you have a little bit more control of your life. And then adding the Lanthorn is kind of also representational of that a little bit. I didn't even notice until right now. But what's the coolest thing about the Lanthorn? That's the whole reason I wanted to talk about it.
It makes a fun sound.
I don't know. I don't really like the Lanthorn sound myself.
I know what you're getting at. I'm just kind of playing a little bit.
Okay, good. I'm all alone.
And I'm the one who's gonna be like, oh yeah, as soon as you say what it is.
It's one of those very interesting game mechanics where you can actually use your magic to move a piece you're standing on.
Oh yeah.
That does not happen very often, but it's like you play the horn and you can use the horn to move the pieces. You could do it kind of in an overview way, so you could be doing it all the way across the screen. Sometimes that's hard because the camera can't get that wide, but you can still move it that far.
Yeah, and I think some games are kind of scared to do this kind of thing because either, one, they'll break, or two, you might not be able to make as difficult puzzles with it, to which I say, this game does sometimes, like some of these puzzles, make you sit and think.
Which is good.
It's very good.
You want puzzles to make you think. And yeah, I never felt lost, scared. I never felt dumb, like you said, when I played these puzzles. I might have felt overwhelmed, needed to take a break and come back, especially with that one you were talking about where you're moving the flame on the block. When you get to that one, guys, it's okay. Give yourself deep breaths. Know there are checkpoints, and it's okay to just leave it and come back. You can actually finish the game without solving all the puzzles. You can skip that one entirely and still get the entire game experience. No big deal.
You are only required to help out a certain number of forlorn embers, but the game also specifically states that you can just come back for the rest of them later on if you want to. You're not going to be locked out of them by moving on.
Yeah, and I think that's another indicator of how this is very, like, mental health conscious, because, like, anxiety goes with depression a lot, and there's a lot of people that I've known, including myself, who can get really caught up on the idea of, but if I make progress, I get locked out of stuff. And this game is very upfront that it's okay, you can always come back.
Even after you finish, you can come back. In fact, once you finish, it'll open up chapter menu so you can go anywhere you want. Don't hesitate to say, you know what, I'm not having fun, skip it. Just skip it. The game appreciates you for playing, and will help you go back if you want to go back whenever you want to go back, even after the end. So, yay! I mean, really, it's another game is on your side. You know, the deeper mechanics of this game rather than the individual mechanics, because I think that it is kind of a little finicky sometimes in the actual controls, which is usually what we talk about when we say the game is on your side, but this one on a larger scale, kind of a little bit more meta level, is on your side.
It's like, some of the direct interaction with some of the puzzle elements, the controls are a bit more hands-on than you might expect for some of them. Where some of them have levers you need to flip, and you do that in a similar manner to how you push blocks. You need to just kind of... It's not just you push button, it happens. You have to do an input to push the lever.
Even a key. If you want to use the key, you push the button, use the key, will let you insert it, but then you actually have to mechanically turn it, which is not something that happens in every game.
So I understand if, for various reasons, that some of that extra steps might be a barrier.
Especially if you don't know it's there yet.
Yeah, but there's a lot of, like, added, tactileness to it that's really different.
In a good way.
In a good way, yes.
I think it adds to, what's that called? Immersion. It adds to the immersion, I think. You really are feeling like you're there doing these things a little bit more, which is not as easy to do when the camera is so far away from the player character.
Yeah, this game is very third person, but I definitely felt immersed.
And one thing I wanted to talk about kind of with the aesthetic, which is sort of changing gears if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that I have written down here a couple things. It's like, one, it's just so pretty. It's so aesthetically pleasing and rich, and while it's an animated style, it's also very realistic for these animated characters, and it's, just colorfully rich. The detail is beautiful. The lighting is lovely. But the way they play with scale, it's like the world feels really big, but the ember that you're playing is very small. You're just this little guy. You're just a little guy trying to make it through and do the best you can for everybody on your own journey out. And at some point you'll meet other character animals, and they'll be huge. They're boss-sized. If it was a fighting game, but this game has no fighting at all.
No combat.
No combat.
No arguments either.
Not really, no.
There might be some instance of that, I don't know. At least some reference to it? Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah. But what I was going to say is that, it adds this layer of tension when everyone you meet is huge compared to you. It adds this layer of a little bit of, what is it called?
I don't know. I don't know what it's called.
I know! It's not horror. It's, like the tension of fear of the unknown.
Hold on, I'm gonna look at a note quick.
Okay.
Okay, Sackbot has called it uneasy, not scary.
Okay, yeah, like that, but there is a word I'm trying to find that I'm lost from right now. Oh well, I'll probably find it at the end of the episode. Stay tuned!
That's a great way to get people to watch our outro.
Okay, fine. I got it! No guarantees. I have no idea if I'm going to find that word. And you know what? Just to normalize that happens to everybody. Mm-hmm. Sometimes words will escape you, no matter how articulate, well-read, or big your vocabulary. In fact, the bigger your vocabulary is, the more likely you are to forget specific words. But...
A word!
No. No, not word. No, not word.
Well, I mean, word, I find this all very relatable. I word to that.
Word!
Alright, so on your topic of scale, I think one of the hurdles that comes with trying to make your character feel small is that sometimes you physically can't see them anymore. And that doesn't ever happen with this game. You do feel kind of small and in a really big place, but you're still very clearly visible. If you get lost, it's not because of your size.
It's because, yeah, it's a group of mazes. It is. It's like every little level is a maze. There's only certain pathways through everything. And so, inherently, you are going to get turned around sometimes. There are specifically places in there that look just like other places on purpose. So you kind of have to do a little deeper digging to figure your way around. And I think that's there to encourage exploration. So you look at all the nooks and crannies, and because there are hidden things, there is stuff to find, which me, explorer type, I love having stuff to find. I want to look in every nook and cranny. I'm the one who's going to get the character stuck on top of things or stuck in places, and, in another life, maybe I'm a glitch finder, clipping through the walls and stuff. Not so far, but if anybody was gonna, it's probably me.
That is you?
Yeah, I think so.
You say that, but damn do I find glitches in Tiny Game Tuesdays all the time.
I'm not trying to play the Tiny Game Tuesday games
fair,
for that.
Fair.
It's like...
Yeah, I get the impression there's, some glitch enthusiast in all of us.
Well, especially, witnessing them. Maybe not having to deal with the mechanics of them.
Yeah.
Not everyone has your stamina, kid.
Good.
So anyway,
15,000 encounters for one Pokemon is too many.
I didn't say that. I did not hold it against you. I did not say that at all. I've never held it. I'm like, I keep my mouth shut. I'm not holding, You be as obsessed as you are. I have no right to say anything.
So, notably, Last Campfire, I do not recall bumping into any, gameplay breaking or threatening glitches so much. There are some visual oddities here and there, but...
Occasionally it feels like you're stuck. Like, if you really do try and skirt the edges and really go around, sometimes you'll get caught behind a plant or something. But if you just wiggle enough, you will get back out again. I never really got stuck, but I was afraid I was going to a couple times when I played. And I learned that you don't need to push it that hard. If you can go in there, it'll let you know.
I did end up kind of, escaping the camera one time.
That is true. Yeah. But it wasn't game-breaking. It was just amusing until you got back on.
I knew where the exit to the room was, and I just went there, and everything worked out. So it was a bit troubling, but not bad.
Yeah. So anyway, I know we didn't say so at the beginning, but yes, this is more than a review. It's just a discussion of the joy it is to play Last Campfire. Obviously, we all really enjoyed it and recommend it. I'd recommend it for all ages. Anyone who enjoys a good 3D puzzle game and wants an aesthetic, thoughtful experience, this is a good game.
Yeah, like, one of the things that also makes this accessible for all ages is that there is a narrator. So that way all dialogue in the game that is, spoken to you is read out loud. And the only things that aren't are your text options.
Right. But usually they're only, 3 words at a time, and it's pretty easy from context to guess what those might be. Or you could just try them all. It's not like choices matter. You always have the option to say all of the dialogue, so... I can't remember for sure whether or not the narrator says what you choose to say out loud after you choose to say it.
No, it just goes on to, the, what the character you're talking to is saying.
Through which case, yeah. So we even recommend this for non-readers. This game isn't going to hurt anybody, whether they can read or whether they can't. I don't know if the narration's available in other languages, so, it is in English, so that's, that's a thing. We haven't really talked about localization for games much or anything, but...
Alright, we'll put that on the someday box.
Okay, fine. Someday box.
But yeah, I do think that this is, if you are looking to start playing games kind of like we do, where we have multiple people, one game, this is not a bad choice. I think there's some great elements here for multi-generational play.
That's true. And, some puzzle games, it can be really difficult to play with, collab, not multiplayer, because how does everybody contribute? With this one, it can be nice to have an extra set of eyes looking at the puzzle, so that way the person who's really focused on controlling the player character can sometimes get a hint from someone who's keeping more of a bird's eye focus on the whole screen. It's nice. That is a nice thing to happen. So with some puzzle games, it can end up being a pain in the butt to try and work around communication barriers in order to help each other solve puzzles, but this one's a good one.
Yeah, we've gotten into enough puzzle games where it's sometimes the problems we bump into, these are kind of extreme examples, but we bump into points where it's okay, I might have ideas on how to solve this puzzle, but I do not know how to explain what the heck's going on here.
Right.
At least with this one, there are a lot of... Parts are typically generic enough that you can just say, put a cube in the left back, or something like that.
Yeah, it works in physically consistent spaces, even when it's, in the sort of, isolated puzzle zones that don't fit in the rest of the world. You're still not bumping into a bunch of... The space does not have moon logic to it.
No, not at all. And it is pretty easy to communicate about. So, thumbs up from me.
I agree. It's I can't really think of anything that, it does poorly. It stands up.
It does.
So again, there's maybe a few issues with collisions, and, the controls can be a bit scuffed in a few spots, but...
That's if you're nitpicking, though. Really, we are nitpicking at this point.
It's one of the things this game will show you right off the bat is, if you're gonna have a problem with a puzzle game, this one does not have your move speed too slow.
Yeah.
It does not take forever to get from place to place.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't feel like you're going to run off cliffs and stuff. Well, because you can't. There's no fall damage. There's nothing like that, so...
For the most part, definitely, feel quick and responsive without, feeling too at risk of, just kind of getting out of control.
Which is another delicate balance to strike that not all games do well.
Yeah.
lets you save more patience for the parts that really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Aww. Which is the people. The whole point is to be there for each other. So that's...
How did we make it this far without talking about one of our favorite parts of the Forlorn? Which is that some of them aren't ready to be helped.
Oh, yeah.
Because, whenever you have a game that talks about helping people with mental illness, sometimes it can end up looking like you're trying to solve people's mental illness. But in this case, having some Forlorn in different locations deny your help because they're not ready, or they're too scared.
Or they're just not interested.
Is a great way of making sure that you aren't solving it, you are helping.
Yeah, seeing somebody who is clearly having an emotional struggle does not entitle you to go in and fix it for them.
It's very, very important, and I'm glad I remembered to put it in before we finished.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up on the way to the Forest King, but we didn't go there.
Play the game. Find out what the Forest King's all about. I don't think we need to go there right now.
Yeah, let the Forest King do Forest King things. I know it's weird, but seeing somebody who isn't ready to be helped can also make me feel seen at the same time. It's so weird.
Oh, I think that's so normal. It's there's this expectation that if someone offers you help, you're supposed to take it because, I went to all this trouble to offer you help. That's how a lot of support around mental health looks. People only have so much time and energy. If you're not willing to jump up when they're ready to help you, did you even want help? It's really easy to feel that way, and it's almost a little shocking when you first bump into it in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's oh.
Is this a come back later thing? And no, it's not. It's not a come back later thing.
Nope. And even, now that we're on the topic, even when you do free somebody's flame of hope at the end of one of those puzzle pockets, they say they'll meet up with you later. They don't follow you someplace or jump up and run away. The formerly Forlorn has to sit there a moment. You leave the screen and then they're at a campfire later. But you don't have anything to do with them moving on after that. All you do is free their hope flame. And that's it. That's your part. You just free that for them and then they do with it what they want. It's not up to you what they choose to do. It's not up to you when they move. It's not up to you where they go. And that's very thoughtfully done. And I don't even know if they did it on purpose, but it was meaningful to me.
Yeah. This is consistently when you help out non-Ember characters, but it's there's some where you can, get the flame back for them, and then they stay wherever you found them. They're just keep being a part of that area.
Yeah. It also kind of shows that, depression can hit anybody. While it seems to be a pretty regular thing with the Embers, the other people in this world can also get kind of forlorn.
Depression is a real thing, and it's not great to just go assuming everybody's immune.
Or that everybody's going to want help when you're available to help them.
Mm-hmm. And, for some people, it's a recurring thing, and other people, it happens because of something. And we should help all of those people. We should, we should allow space for them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying,
I know.
That's, that goes against literally what I was saying earlier about why I liked the thing. But that's what I mean. I mean, they need space.
And autonomy. They need some agency into what kinds of support they want to accept and how they accept it. It's it does feel like each Forlorn does let you into their pocket space while you hear their story. So, yeah, very cool. Very, very cool. And I'm sure you could go through and really talk about each Ember and, mental health implications of each one if you wanted to. I mean, there's a space for that. If you got obsessed, you could totally do that. We're not going to do that here. In fact, it's very easy to get focused on the puzzles and just let the story play in the background and you don't really listen, because I know I wasn't even just watching you guys run through the puzzles, but I did listen a little deeper when I was playing by myself at first. So anyway, yeah, the stories are there. You don't even have to pay attention to them. They can be background noise if you want. No biggie. It's just, I love that kind of richness in games where it's if you choose to engage with it on that deep level, that depth exists for you to contemplate. That's lovely game design.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I got my bits in.
Yeah, Last Campfire is good.
Play Last Campfire.
Yes, play it. It's lovely. Support indie developers. I can say that on almost any of these episodes.
Pretty much, yeah. We're kind of an indie loving family, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Not indie exclusive. We're not elitists or whatever, whatever that would be. Is that just hipster, I guess?
I mean...
Those two are not mutually exclusive.
Yes.
Despite how...
Yeah, agreed. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to finish that sentence.
God, AAA hipsters.
Oh! That's the most confusing part of that. But anyway, I think we can wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Collab Not Multiplayer. I'm Giggleklutz.
I'm Honeyshuckleex.
And I'm Zach Rodbarber.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.